Hello everyone, welcome back to GFG. Just let me know if I'm clearly audible, if you are able to see me, if you are able to hear me, just let me know. Just say hi in the chat if you can hear me clearly, or if you want to, if you're not able to hear me clearly, if you want me to raise the audio, or anything like that. Hi Nitish. Hi, great. Okay, so we'll start. Okay, so to just give you an introduction about myself, my name is Prakash Sakari. Okay, I am a software developer. I am also a mentor. Yes, this is free. Okay, it's a free session. I am also a mentor. I've been teaching at GFG since I think the past 3 years, right? I have a course, a full course, complete course made on JavaScript, basic to advanced. I also have a course on React JS, basic to advanced, and you can find it on GFG. I also take live classes on full stack development at GFG, so you can enroll. I can see a couple of my students also from my current batch over here. So I'm quite excited for this session. It's been a long time. I've not come on YouTube, so we got the opportunity to come back on YouTube, and it's going to be a very great session. It's like learning JavaScript from the scratch. We'll start from the basics. So this JavaScript marathon is divided into two parts. So today we will do a JavaScript. We'll start from basic and we'll go to the intermediate level, and then coming in the coming week on Saturday, right? The coming Saturday, same time, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We will again do an advanced JavaScript part. So it'll be a 6 hours of learning completely JavaScript, and I assure you it will be the best thing that you'll be learning. Okay, so yeah, where are you all from? Like, where are you all from? It will be good. See, I'm also having a look at the chat section. You feel free to ask questions. Okay, not only related to JavaScript, but related to any other thing. Also, we can discuss about career as well, right? We can discuss about multiple other things as well. Okay, so we'll take breaks also in between. Write code with me, right? Or watch the session along with me, and also try to do some of the other things with me. Just don't really watch, but it will be a great session, to be very honest. Okay, so if you can put in the chat, where are you all from? Like, where are you all from? I'm from Mumbai. I'm from Mumbai, Maharashtra. I can see I think there are 33 people in the session. So Nitesh is from Andhra. I know Nitesh. Great. Okay. Cool. So yeah, let's get started. Okay. So I'll start with showing you all a good roadmap. Mumbai, right? Great. Where in Mumbai are you from? Dhanbad. Nice. I have friends from Dhanbad, from IIT Dhanbad. Okay. Cool. Okay. So there's one question from Chirag. As a React Native developer, technical interview round, always taking React.js coding challenge. What can I do? See, obviously, most of the things that are there in React Native, the logical part, especially the hooks part, also use state, use effect, use callback, and all the hooks that are there in React Native, obviously, are coming from React.js itself, right? So that's why, and the thing is that most of the people are not into React Native, right? People are mostly into React.js. So even if there are high chances if someone is taking your interview of React Native, they might not be knowing a lot of things about React Native, right? The way basically you create bridge between the native Android and React Native, like and then multiple other things like the components, right? How do you enable security over there, right? how do you optimize the React Native code, right? So all of these things. So a lot of people are not aware of these things. So generally, they will always start with React JS itself. So if your React JS is good, then they can put a bet on you that okay, the React Native will also be much better. So this is how it works. Okay, great. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Great. I can see a lot of people. Oh, there's someone from Bangladesh as well. Andhra, Kurnool, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh. Great. Okay. So let's start. I'll start with showing you a roadmap. Right. Just let me know if my screen is visible. Okay. I think you are able to see this screen. Okay. So this is a roadmap that I had actually created. This is a full stack development roadmap, and this focuses on Mon. Okay. Okay. Mon basically means MongoDB. Okay. Express, React, and Node.js. Okay. M stands for MongoDB, E for Express, R for React, and N for Node.js. Okay. So you can also do it for mean stack also. So MongoDB, okay, Express, Angular, and Node.js. Okay, you can just interchange React with Angular, but people are using React a lot. Okay, so the first thing that you obviously need to learn is Git and GitHub. Okay, and over here, this is my GitHub URL. You can basically go and you can check out my projects also. I'll put the link in the chat as well. Okay, so you first have to understand what Git and GitHub is and understand some basic commands, right? How to basically create a repository, how to add something into a repository, what is add, what is commit, what is push, what is pull, right? What is fetch, and all of these are some basic commands which you use in your day-to-day development. Okay, how to resolve conflicts, what is branch, and how to create multiple branches, right? So these are some important things when it comes to Git and GitHub, right? These are not good to know things, but these are important things. These are some basics that you should actually know, right? Of Git and GitHub. So even if you know these things, it is you basically know a lot of things in GitHub, right? Because if there are some errors, then only you basically require some other commands. But these commands are basically the most used commands, right? I am using only these commands every day, right? Not even reset also or rebase also. I'm just using add, commit, push, pull, fetch, merge, stash. These are the only commands that I've been using and creating different branches. Okay. Then comes to front end. Obviously, you have to start with HTML. Okay, you basically learn all the HTML tags, right? The text tags, like the headings, and all of these are the name of the tags. I think most of you might be knowing, right? Then comes the image tag. Then how do you create containers, list, and link tags, right? Learning about frames and learning about semantic HTML, right? Box model, right? And then block elements, inline elements, right? And then these are some advanced things which are basically asked in interviews, right? What is this coax and standard mode? Okay, so this is about this type doc type, right? Whenever you create an HTML file, you'll always see something called as a doc type, right? HTML. So over there, you'll basically understand what all these are. Then very important thing is accessibility, right? What is accessibility and how is it useful? So these are some questions which are asked in interviews, right? Uh, then comes the CSS part. This is very important. A lot of people struggle a lot with CSS. I've seen so many developers, even when I work with developers, I've seen developers only struggle with CSS, right? Most of the times they come to me and they ask, can you help me in CSS? Because so CSS, a lot of people basically think CSS as a hit and run, right? They just try to write some line of code and they run it, and then if there's an error, they basically move to another line or try something else. CSS is quite logical, right? CSS is not only hit and run, trial and run, hit and run, trial and run. It is quite logical. So you learn all of these things, right? Very important thing over here is this specificity, then understanding which type of values to use, whether to use VW, percentage, and all of these things. Then understanding these positions. These are very important. Flexbox and grid are very important, right? Media queries obviously is very, very important, right? These transform transitions, these are used for animations. If you want to do some animation, move something here and there, zoom in, zoom out, then you can do it, right? So once you complete HTML, CSS, you make some projects, right? You come onto some basic projects like a portfolio website or some other projects, right? You can find a list of projects. You can also search for something called as front-end mentor, where basically you can find a lot of examples where you can practice these examples called as front-end mentor. Okay, I'll show you all of those things. Then if you want to learn this framework, this is a very good framework. This is used by a lot of companies, right? This is an industry level framework used by many companies. We also use it. Okay. And then this is a very good to know thing, how a website is rendered, right? What are the building blocks, how an HTML is, how the browser understands HTML, how the browser understands CSS, how it is compiled, right? How it is parsed. So these are some important things to know, right? Especially when you're a front-end developer or even a full-stack developer, a very good thing to know of how basically a website is rendered. Okay. Then comes the boss, JavaScript, right? JavaScript is like an ocean, right? Um you keep on diving deeper, you will basically still not reach to the end of the ocean, right? It's like a humongous ocean, quite deep, right? So every day basically you'll keep on learning a lot of other things, right? Still now also, even though it's been me working 4 years in JavaScript, but still there are so many new things, right? That are coming up, that I also have to keep myself updated, right? But these are some important topics. These are not good to know topics, these are important topics. You should know all of these things, especially if you want to become a JavaScript developer or a front-end developer or a React developer or a React Native developer also. You should know all of these things. Once you know all of these things, it will be good for you, right? Then comes React, right? React, obviously, we know React is basically used widely across the industries right now, right? Every other company will basically ask you only React only. You will see so many openings of React, right? Even if you apply for, let's say, uh, maybe a full stack developer or JavaScript developer or any other developer, React will be something which will basically help you a lot, right? Because everyone is just using React. So learn React and make some projects, right? Then comes state management, Redux. This is also highly used a lot by multiple companies. See what state management actually is, right? Testing library, right? This basically you can do it by using something called as Jest and RTL. RTL is nothing but React testing library itself, right? So learn this also. This basically will give you an edge, because a lot of people never write test cases, right? Even where I've seen so many developers, when I ask them to write test cases, they don't know how to write test cases, right? And writing test cases is something very simple. It's a very monotonous thing. It's the same thing, right? It's a very same thing, right? Once you know how to write a test case for clicking the button or getting an input, it's the same everywhere, right? Once you know how to write a test case for getting a data from an API, it's the same everywhere, right? At one point it just becomes quite monotonous and quite static, but this gives you an edge, right? That okay, because there are two types of development. One is called as test driven development, one is called as data driven development. Okay, so test driven development is first you write test cases and then you develop upon it. Data driven development is you are getting data from an API and then you start development. So most of the companies follows TDD, test driven development, right? Most of them follow TDD because it's a very good practice, a very good practice, right? Then comes backend. You learn what APIs are, what is REST API, what is the REST architecture, why we are using REST API, because there are a lot of other ways also to create APIs as well, right? So why are we only using REST API only, right? Why not other ways of creating API? So learn what is an API, how it is created, what is an architecture. Only just writing fetch or get, okay, post. This is not. It's not only that thing only. Even if you're a front end developer, you should know what is the architecture. Why are you using REST, right? What makes REST so globally used, right? Because REST is the architecture is globally used by a lot of developers, by many companies. REST is only. So why REST is used? What is the thing that is going behind it? Okay. Then comes Express, which is basically built on top of Node, Node.js. Okay, Express is a framework which is built on top of Node.js. So you understand how you create a server using Express, right? And how do you do routing using Express? How do you create multiple routes, right? For example, when you're hitting an API, you will have multiple routes, right? Let's say Prakash Sakari / products, you'll get products. Prakash Sakari / cart, you'll see item in the cart. Prakash Sakari / wish list, you'll see items in the wish list, right? So how do you create then authentication, right? You can learn about this JWT also, quite good. Then comes MongoDB. What is a relational database? What is non-relational database? How do you set it up? How do you create connection between a database and a server? What are the types of data you can keep in a database, right? How do you make it more fast, right? So that it is more optimized, right? So all of these things are very important. So this is a general roadmap. Okay, this is basically a general roadmap. It's not that this needs to be followed, right? But it's good to be followed. Okay, cool. So if anyone has any questions still here, just let me know. Otherwise, I will just start with JavaScript. Okay. Any questions? I'm just looking for any questions. गूगल करके देख ले बेटा, आरआरबी जेई सीबीटी का रिजल्ट कब आएगा? All of these will be got not today, obviously today will not, but this basically is a series. So what you have started is this is basically a series which will happen every weekend, every Saturday, every Sunday. We'll have these marathon sessions of 3 hours or 2 3 hours or maybe even 4 hours as well. So in this entire maybe it will happen for 2 3 months, or look, I do not know, right? I mean, but maybe it will happen for a couple of months, right? And in this series we'll be covering most of the things, right? So you'll basically get to learn most of the things. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So let's start. Okay, I'll share my screen. Just let me know if you are able to see the screen. Okay, cool. So I think you're able to see the screen. Okay. So see, this is a basic session. Okay, this actually is a basic JavaScript session. Just give me a second. Go live. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool. So let's start with the basics of JavaScript, right? So what I've done is I've already created an index.html file, and inside this index.html file, I've just linked this JavaScript file. Okay, so for someone who basically knows nothing about JavaScript, right? Does not know anything about JavaScript, it's very simple, right? You just have to install and download VS Code, right? Once you have VS Code installed, once you have VS Code downloaded, what you can do is you can just create a folder. In the folder, you create a file, okay, called as index.html and index.js. And in the index.html, you can simply just write HTML5. Once you write HTML file, you'll see all of these things, right? And then over here, you can just write a div, and then you can just write whatever message you want to write. So let's say we come to JS marathon session. Okay, cool. And then you can also create a JavaScript file called as index.js. Okay. Just for HTML, make sure you write index.html. For JS, you can write any name. Okay. But just followed by .js file. And then we have to create a link between the index.html and a JS file. So I'll use a script tag. And in the source, I have to specify the path of the file. Now, since index.html and index.js are in the same path, so simply I'll write over here index.js itself. Okay, index.js. Okay, so this will create a link. Now, where do I check all of these things? In order to check all of these things, what I'm doing is I have to open my developer tools. Okay, so how I think everyone knows what developer tools is. You just right click over here and you click on inspect. It will open the developers tool. So over here, I'll basically see all my output. So the developer tools has all of these things. It has these elements, console, sources, networks. Console is where you see the output of your code. If I want to see some output, let's say, for example, if I'm doing some mathematical calculation, right? Some summation, or I'm writing a code which will basically give me, let's say, calculate area of a triangle or circumference of a circle, something like that. So I can see the output over here in the console. Okay. So let's see how do you do that. So if you want to see something in the console, what you do is you just write console.log. Log basically means to show the output on the console. Okay, a very simple way that we'll basically start with is like hello world, right? This is what we always do, right? In every programming language you start, you'll always see this line of code, hello world. Okay, so console.log hello. If you want me to increase the font size, I will increase the font size also. Okay. Yes, even if you're a beginner, you can start with this part. So console.log hello world, right? And now if I see over here, if I see in the console, I can see hello world. Earlier there was nothing, but since I'm writing console.log hello world, I can see hello world over here, right? Now I can write multiple things also. I can start console.log. Hi, my name is Prakash. My name is Prakash Sakari. Okay. So if I go back over here, right? So I can see, hi, my name is Prakash Sakari. Okay. So what I'm doing is I just want to log something on the screen. Okay. Now I can do a lot of things over here. I can also do some addition, subtraction also. I can just write console log. Let's say if I do 1 plus 2, right? And if I save it, so I'll get over here. If you see, I get number 3 over here. So what is JavaScript doing? JavaScript knows what is the meaning of plus, right? So every mathematical computation that you do in your actual mathematics, like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, finding percentage, right, finding modulus, everything you can do with over here by using JavaScript. Okay, by using JavaScript. So the way if I do console log 1 plus 2, let's say I can also do console log, let's say 4 minus 1. Okay, or 4, let's say 4 minus 2. So we know 4 minus 2 is what? It's 2. So I'm getting all of these things. So I can simply log anything over here, right? In the same way, you can do multiplication also. So let's say console.log 4 multiplied by, let's say 4, right? So this becomes 16, right? So these are some operators. If you want to divide something, so let's say 9 divided by, let's say 4. So 9 divided by 4, it should give me in terms of it would be a fractional number, a decimal number, right? So this becomes 2.25. So and this is how basically console basically works, right? What is the job of console? If you want to see anything on your console, right, over here, this part basically used to show your output. If you want to see anything on your console, then basically you can use this console.log statement. Okay, cool. Let's move ahead. Okay. No, JS will not be completed in today's entire session. Okay, it will take us 2 sessions to complete JS, and we will do that. Okay, cool. Now, okay, let me comment this, right? So if I just put 2/ in front of any line of code, it becomes commented. Comment basically means you won't see it in this, that line of code will not be executed. If you don't want to execute some line of code, you just put 2/ in front of it. That line of code is never executed. Okay, cool. Now, JavaScript basically has a concept called as variables. Okay, JavaScript has a concept called as variables. Okay, if anyone knows what variable is, you can write it in the chat. Okay, I'll be very happy to see your answers. Okay, so let's not just make it a monotonous class where I'm just speaking continuously. I know even if I'm not able to hear you, I'm not able to see you, but I'm continuously reading the chat. Okay, so if anyone knows what variable is, you can write it in the chat. It will be great. Okay, so what is variable? So basically a variable is a storage unit, is a storage unit to store some data. Okay, a variable is a storage unit which is used to store some data. Now data, okay, now whenever you think about data, there are a lot of things that goes in your mind, right? When you think about data, you think, okay, data might be multiple lines of some or the other thing. It might be uh, 1 lakh or 2 lakh lines of text which will have some data, or right, some Excel files or some CSV files or some PDFs or some random text, right? Data is not necessarily only those things only. Okay, your data can be a simple number also. It can be number 3, it can be number 10, right? Data can also be your name also. Okay, like let's say there is okay, Nidhi Bharadwaj. So yeah, she gave an answer. Variable is a storage where we store data. Okay, it could be let cons. Great, good Nidhi, good. Okay, Ashwin also has written a name that reference the address in the memory. Okay, that is too deep, too technical, but it's correct, right? So data can be your name also, like it can be Nidhi, it can be Arya Gupta, right? So data necessarily not, it's just like some big sort of data, okay, that we imagine. Okay, data can be simple number or simple name also. So variable is storage unit to store some data. Okay, now the question is, where is the data stored, right? Where is the memory coming from? Obviously it will occupy your laptop memory, right? So it will take some part of your memory and keep storing some data. And these are not permanent storage, these are always temporary storage itself. Okay, never it's a permanent storage, it's temporary storage till the time your code is running, right? It is basically occupying the memory. Once you basically stop running the code, the memory is cleared. Okay, now, okay, so in JS, right now, when I say variable is a storage unit to store some data, we have to create a variable, right? So we can create a variable in 3 ways. There is var, right? Then there is let, and then there is const. There are 3 ways in which a variable can be created. If you're coming from C++, so there is int, there is character, right? There are multiple other things also, right? But when it comes to JavaScript, in order to create a variable, you can basically create it in 3 ways. You can write var, you can write let, you can write const. I'll give you an example. Let's say if I want to store a number, so I can write var x equals to 3, right? So over here, what is x? So x is a variable name, right? When I say a variable is a storage unit to store some data, right? So, and I told data can be anything. It can be a number or it can be a name also. So 3 is my data over here. 3 is my data, and x is my variable in which I'm storing the data. Okay, x is my variable in which I'm storing the data. So basically, what is x? X. So 3 basically is stored in the memory. 3 basically stored in the memory. Now, since 3 is stored in a memory, right? If I want to get that data from the memory, I need a reference. Okay, I need a reference. Someone wrote about the reference. I think Ashwin wrote about reference, right? It's like a name that references the address in the memory. Okay, so basically, let's imagine a memory. Just let's imagine a grid, right? There is a box, right? There is a grid, right? And in that grid, grid basically forms multiple boxes. So let's say in one box there is some data. Okay, in a box there is some data. You store the data. Now, in order to get that data, you basically should know there should be an identifier for that box. So just x just becomes an identifier. It just becomes a reference. Okay, so when I basically use x, I will basically get that data. If I want to get this value 3, which is stored in the memory, I have to use this reference x. So x becomes a variable in which I'm basically storing the data. Okay, data is actually stored in a memory. That memory block is referenced by x. Okay, that memory block is referenced by address, or that address of the memory block is referenced by x. Okay, for example, now you everyone has an address of the home, right? So if they want to find you, they'll basically say, okay, go to this building, write this building number onto this floor, this is the room number, right? So basically you are your reference by your room number. Okay, in this room number this boy stays. So in the same way, so in order to find 3, we basically use x as a reference. Okay, now if I want to see the value of x also, I can just do a console.log of x. If I do a console.log of x over here, so if you see, I get 3 again over here. Okay, see, when I write console.log of x in inverted quotes, console.log of x in inverted quotes, it will give me x only. Okay, so now comes a different topic called as data types. Okay, data types. So there are multiple types of data. Okay, today we are learning. So there is number, there is string. Okay, then there is boolean also. There is number, there is string, there is boolean as well. Okay, and there are a lot of other data types also. Okay, we'll focus on that. What is number? A number can be a whole number or it can be a fraction number. Okay, what is a string? Anything that you write in inverted quotes, that becomes a string. Okay, and whatever you write in inverted quotes, that will be shown as it is on the console or on the screen. Okay, so since I'm writing console log of x in inverted quotes, it shows x directly. But when I write console log of this x, so what I'm doing is I'm trying to log the data inside the variable x. X is my variable, so I'm basically trying to log the data inside the variable x. Okay, I can also create multiple variables. I can write where y equals to 4, right? And I can also do a console.log of y as well. So I'll get 3 and 4. Now I can also add them as well. So I can just do console.log of x plus y, right? When I do a console.log of x plus y, what will be the output, right? When I do a console.log of x plus y, okay? So this basically would be 7, right? So it will add the number stored in the variable x with the number stored in the variable y. So it will add both of them. Whatever is the number stored in the variable x. See, the moment I highlight x also or hover over x, it says var x and it is a number. Okay, and so it will add the number stored in both of these variables. Okay, great. Okay, let's move ahead. Now in the same way, I can also store my name also. Okay, so for example, I can just write var, let's say name is equal to Prakash Sakari. Okay, but now since I want to store this name, okay, this is the data. So the data I told you, it can be in the form of a number or it can be a form of a string. So whenever you want to store some text, it should always in the form of a string. Whenever you want to store some text, it should always be in the form of a what? String itself. Okay. So now since var name equals to Prakash Sakari, what I can do is over here, instead of this Prakash Sakari, I can replace it with a variable also. Okay. How do I replace it with a variable? I simply have to do hi, my name is, okay. Hi, my name is, and I'll put a plus sign and I can put the variable. Okay. So I can write hi, my name is, okay, or let's say I can just write username, and over here I will just write username. Okay, and I'll save this. So username is what? Prakash Sakari. So over here I've just replaced hi, my name is, and I'm using a plus sign and I'm just writing username. So if I save this now, so if you see, I'm getting hi, my name is Prakash Sakari. But if you see, there is no space. Okay, there is no space, so I can add a space over here. Hi, my name is a space, right, plus the username. Okay, my name is Prakash Sakari. So what is happening over here? When I do a console log of the username, right? So it will just not write hi, my name is, and then username. Now this is, it knows that it's a variable, it's a storage unit in which some data is stored. So it knows that I basically have to show the data that is stored in this variable. Okay, it knows how to show the data that is stored. Okay, let's say if I put username also in inverted quotes, then what will be the output? Can you just put it in the chat? If I just put username also in inverted quotes, then what will be the output? Can you put it in the chat? Okay, hi, my name is space and then plus and then username also inverted quotes. What will be the output, right? So if we see over here, the output is nothing but hi, my name is username itself. Why? Because this username now is not a variable. Anything you write in inverted quotes becomes a string. Anything you write in inverted quotes becomes a string, and that it will be logged the way it is written. Okay, whichever way you have written it, it will be shown in the same way on the console, right? So if I want to access a variable, I will just have to write hi, my name is space and then the variable. Okay, so whatever is there in the variable, I will be simply able to see it over here. Okay, so hi, my name is Prakash Sakari. Okay. Great. Couple of people have also given the answer, right? You are right. Name is username. Okay. Now with whenever you have a variable which is declared with y, so this is called as variable declaration, where I'm declaring a variable called as username and I'm assigning a value called as Prakash Sakari. This is called as variable declaration, where I'm declaring a variable called as username and assigning this value Prakash Sakari. I can also change the value of this variable also. If I write username is equal to, and then in inverted quotes, let's say, if I write, let's say, Ashish, okay, Ashish Jangra. So what will be the output on the console? Okay, will it be hi, my name is Prakash Sakari, or will it be hi, my name is Ashish Jangra, or will it be Prakash Sakari, Ashish Jangra? What will it be, right? So if you see on the console, it says hi, my name is Ashish Jangra. So what is happening over here? It is basically updating the value of the variable. So you can also update the value of the variable. It's not that once you store a value, then it will be there forever only. No, you can also update the value of the variable. Okay, you can simply update the value of the variable. Okay, so this is the use case of var. Okay, but the problem with var is you can basically keep on declaring it multiple times, right? You can keep on declaring it multiple times. Let's say I can just write Vimal Kulas over here. So if I save this, so and let's say if I comment this line of code, so the output will be hi, my name is Vimal Kulas. This is a problem with var. You can keep on redeclaring it multiple times, right? The problem over here is that this technically should have given us an error. Okay, this should give us an error which says that variable is already declared, so there is no need of redeclaring it again. This is called as redeclaration. Again, when I write var, okay, whenever I use these keywords var, let or const, I'm declaring a variable. Okay, so var username Prakash Sakari, I have declared a variable with username. If I again declare a variable with the same name like username, right? This is like redeclaring it. If I write username 1, then it is fine. Okay, then this username 1 becomes a new variable. Like I'm creating a new variable. But if I just write username, I'm again creating the same old variable itself. Okay, which is not a good practice. Okay, so generally we do not use var itself. Okay, we just avoid using var and all of these things. Okay. So let's come to the next variable, which is let. Okay, we'll just finish this and then we will move to a new part. Okay, writing conditions, and see, I'm just trying to build some basic, and then we can just start writing some conditions. Okay, so we'll just learn let. Const we can maybe learn in the next session. Okay, because we won't be using var, we'll just be using let. So I'll just tell you what let is and how let actually works. Okay, so I just write let. Okay, let user equals to, let's say, over here I'll just write Sakshi. Okay, let user equals to Sakshi, and I can, if I want to again do a log console, I can set hi, I am. Okay, now if I want to use the variable, I can also use comma also. Okay, instead of plus, I can use comma also. Okay, so there are multiple ways to log. Okay, whenever you want to log a string, okay, when you have to log multiple strings, so you can either use a plus or you can also use a comma also. So I can write hi, I am, and then comma user. Okay, so over here this is basically called as declaring a variable with let. Okay, declaring a variable with let. So now if we see it, okay, let me just comment all of this thing over here. if we see the output, okay, so it will be, hi, I am Sakshi. Okay. Now, what is the difference between var and let? Okay, the important question is, what is the difference between var and let? So with var, if you see, you can redeclare the variable, okay, and you can also change the value also. With let, if I try to declare the same variable again, okay, if I write let user equals to, let's say, Avneet, okay, so if I try to do it again, then it gives an error. Okay, so if we go and check over here, it gives what? It gives a syntax error. Okay, so great, you have your first error also. So for people who are beginners, who have started learning JavaScript or any programming language, so this is your first error. It says uncaught syntax error. Can anyone put in the chat what is the syntax error? What do you understand by syntax error? Okay. Sakshi is a good dancer. I do not know. My friend Sakshi, she's a very good teacher. I know that only. Okay. So, uncaught syntax error. It says, so what is syntax error? Syntax basically means a line of code. Syntax means line of code. So when it says syntax error, that means this is an incorrect line of code. Okay. And when you get a syntax error, you get basically when the format is incorrect. Okay. Whatever you're writing, if the format is if the format of the line is incorrect, or if JavaScript does not allows something like that, if JavaScript does not allow a syntax like that, then it gives you an error called as syntax error. Okay. If the way you have written the line of code, if the format is incorrect, okay, because obviously since it's a programming language, so all the syntax are predefined. It's not that if you write something new it will accept it. ऐसा नहीं होता है, ठीक है, ऐसा कुछ चलता नहीं कि अपने मन से कुछ भी लिखूंगा मैं और वो एक्सेप्ट कर लेगा. It does not work in that way. Okay, so it has some predefined line of codes, right? Predefined way of format in which it accepts it. If you if you write something different, so it will give you syntax error. Okay, what is the error over here? It says what is syntax error over here? I'm again trying to redeclare a variable. Okay, so as I told you, whenever you use these keywords let or var or cons, you are basically declaring a variable. Okay, so I've already declared a variable Sakshi, declared a variable user, and the value is Sakshi. I'm again trying to redeclare it. So with let, redeclaration is not possible. Okay, let variable cannot be redeclared. Okay, cannot be redeclared. So we cannot redeclare a let variable. But can we assign a new value? Yes, we can assign a new value. So the way I've written let user equals to Sakshi. If I write user equals to Avneet, so the value of this variable will be updated. So if I see it over here, so it is hi, I am Avneet. Okay, so this is how it actually works. Okay, so this is the difference between let and var. Okay, where you can declare a variable with let, okay, and you can assign a new value also, but you cannot redeclare it. Okay, you can declare a variable with let, but you cannot redeclare it again. But with var, you can redeclare it multiple times. Okay, you can redeclare it multiple times. So see, the good part over here is that, let's say for example, somewhere down the line, if you are writing a very big code, right, and on top you have actually declared this variable let user, right, and let's say again you want to declare a variable, but again by mistaken you have used the same variable called as user. Okay, if you're doing it with var, you will actually have no understanding or no clue at all that okay, you're using the same variable. So maybe you might be expecting the value which is at the top, but you will get the value you have declared at the bottom level, okay, somewhere down the line of code. But with let, the good part is that if you try to redeclare the same variable, it will give you an error, okay, that this variable has already been declared. So you don't redeclare the same variable. You can use another name or you can reassign it. Okay, so this is the difference between var and let. Okay, cons we'll see later on. Okay, cool. So yeah, let's move ahead with conditions. Okay, or yeah, before moving ahead with conditions, there is one way also I wanted to show you how to log something. So let's say for example, if I write over here this username, okay, or let's say we go with Avneet only. Okay, let user equals to Avneet, and let's say I'll just also write let age, user age equals to, let's say 100. Let's say Avneet is 100 years old. Okay, so it says console log, hi, I am a user. That means hi, I am Avneet. And let's say I want to also write I am, let's say 100 years old. So I'll just put a comma again and I'll write I am, okay, and a comma and her age, which is user age, and then comma, okay, years old. So this is how basically we write. Okay, let's say for example, if I have to use it with plus sign, so I'll just write console.log. You just have to keep on replacing your sentence with your variable. It's as simple as that. Hi, I am. Now let's say I have to put the variable name. So I'll put a space over here, plus user, okay, and then plus, okay, in inverted quotes, space, I am, a space, and then plus user age, okay, that is 99, and then again plus, okay, plus, and then space, and then years old. Okay, so these are the two ways in which it is written. Okay, so if we see it, so it gives, hi, I'm Avneet, I'm 100 years old. Hi, I'm Avneet, I'm 100 years old. But this is not a good way, right? It does not look good at all. Okay, that the way I'm writing, okay, obviously writing that she's 100 years old is also not good enough. Once she gets to know this, she'll just kill me. Okay, so hi, I'm Avneet and I'm 90. So it's obviously this is not a good way to actually write anything. Okay, so when we write code at an industry level, we use something called as template literal. Template literal. How do you use template literal? You just write console.log. You use this thing tilde. Okay, this is basically next to the number one on your keyboard. Okay, on the left hand side of number one on your keyboard, on your laptop keyboard, you'll just see this tilde. So in this tilde, how I'm going to write, I'm just going to, let's say, hi. What I want to write, hi, I am, let's say I am Avneet, okay, comma, I am 99 years old. This is what I want to show on the console. Okay, this is what I want to show on the console. So, but I know here that Avneet is coming from where? It's coming from a variable. What is the name of the variable? It is user. 99 is also coming from where? It's coming from a variable. What is the variable? It is user age. So what I'm going to do is, if I want to get a variable over here instead of Avneet, I will just have to remove this. I'll use a dollar sign. I'll use a curly braces. And in the curly braces, I'll write the name of the variable. Okay, I'll use a dollar sign. In curly, I'll use a curly braces. In it, I'll write the name of the variable. Similarly, again, 99 is coming from a variable. So if any value is coming from a variable, I'll use a dollar sign, curly braces, and then user age. Okay, and then if I see, I'll get the same output. I am Avneet. I am 99. Okay, she's 100 years old. Okay, so this is generally a practice that we follow, and this is generally how basically we write at an industry level. Okay, a string, whichever string we want to show on the console, okay, or we want to display it on the screen. Okay, this is the way in which basically we write. Okay, let's say if I'm getting a data from an API, okay, that this is a user's name, or let's say a user's plan is expiring. So if I want to show it on the screen, so I have to put it in a string. So the value of the variable, we write it in this way. So this looks more elegant and more as an industry practice also, rather than having all of this plus, 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 or this comma, comma, comma. Okay, cool. Let's move ahead. Let's move ahead in that case. Okay, cool. So I'll just get rid of all of these. I'll just comment everything for now. Okay, let's move to something called as conditions. Okay, let's move to something called as conditions. Okay, conditions. Okay, so what are conditions? Okay, so you'll see many things. Okay, basically many things revolving around certain conditions. Okay, so basically when I say you see multiple things revolving around conditions. For example, as I gave you the example that your plan is expiring. Okay, so that is conditional. So if you've taken a plan for 3 months, right? If you're taking a plan of 3 months, so basically you'll get a notification that your plan will be expiring in 5 days or 3 days or 2 days. So that's conditional. So it keeps a check upon when did you purchase the plan, right? And it goes and it keeps a check for 3 months. So when you're nearing 3 months, okay, when you're completing 3 months, right? So that time it will give you a notification, okay, that your plan is expiring. So that is nothing but a condition, okay. And there are multiple conditions, right, that goes around whenever there is if you're working on a website, right? So let's say on the home page, if for a particular user you want to show something, if for some other set of users you want to show something, that is also conditional based, right? Let's say for example, now you might everyone is using shopping apps, right? There is Myntra, there is Flipkart, and so many other shopping sites that you use, right? Now you also see something called as early user or early access as well. So if you're an early user or an early access, or if you're a prime member, you get to see different other things, right? If you're an early access, you basically get to shop a little earlier than the other members as well. So those are conditional based. Like if a user has subscribed to early access, then show him all of these things. If the user has subscribed to this membership, show him all of these things. Do not show him all of these things. So in every website functions conditionally, right? So how do you write conditions? Now to write conditions is very simple. You write if, and in parentheses you write whatever is the condition, okay, whatever is the condition that you want to check, right? And then you basically write the body of code to be executed, okay, body of code to be executed, okay, body of code to be executed if the condition is true or false, okay. I'll give an example. Let's take a variable let, and we'll just write if a user is admin. So I'll just write is user admin, okay. Now if you see the way I'm writing variable name, if your variable name has multiple letters, so this basically is called as camel casing, okay. In JavaScript we follow camel casing. There are multiple casing. There is camel casing, there is snake casing, and there are multiple other casing also. But in JavaScript we follow camel casing, okay. And variable naming is very important, very important. Along this while, if even if you know a lot of things, just try to understand the way I'm writing variable names, the way I'm selecting variable names, okay. So over here what I'm doing is I'm just writing is user and admin, okay. And if you see it has multiple words, so the first word, okay, will always start in lowercase. When you start the second word, the first letter always will start in uppercase, okay. Again, if it's a new word, the first alphabet of the word will start with uppercase, but with the first word it will only start in lowercase. So from the second word onwards, okay, the first alphabet will always be in uppercase, okay. Is user admin. Now I'm using another data type, okay. We have seen numbers. Number is whole numbers, okay, 9, and then let's say 4.5, and we've also seen string. Anything written in inverted quotes becomes a string. There is another type of variable called as boolean, okay. I've written over here boolean. What is boolean? Boolean basically has two values. It is either true or it is either false. Boolean is either true or boolean is either false, okay. So I can write let is user admin. So I can just write, let's say it is true, okay, is user admin, and I'm assigning a value true. That means user is an admin. If I write is user admin, if I write false, so that means user is not an admin, okay, is false. So I can just give it a value true or false, okay. So this is how you identify, as I gave you an example, that on a website, okay, or on a shopping website, you might be their prime member, or you might be their you might have taken some membership or something like that. So under the hood or internally, basically you can do it in this way. You can write a check case, okay, is user an admin or not. So true, that means it's user is admin. If I assign a value false, it's not an admin, obviously. So over here what I can do is, instead of the condition, I can just write is user admin, okay. So if I write over here if user is admin, and then what I'll do is I'll just write a console.log yes user is an admin, okay, yes user is admin. So if I save this, and then if I go to my console, it says yes user is an admin, okay. It says what? That user is an admin. Now what is this over here, okay. Now you might be saying, okay, there is no condition at all over here, okay. So as I told you, okay, so how does this work? So if the condition is true, then we'll execute this body of code. So what is the value of this user admin over here? So condition does not only mean that I have to write something greater than or less than or equal to or not equal to. not necessary, right? I can also, my condition can also be a variable which can give me a value true or false. My condition can also be a variable which gives me a value true or false. Okay, so if I write false over here, is user admin false, and then if I go and check my console, there is nothing in my console. Okay, even if I refresh it, I'm actually not going to get anything in my console. Okay, so but if the moment if I make it true, so I'll get the value in my console which is yes, user is admin. So over here, instead of true and false, I can also, instead of is user admin, that means even if I write true over here, it works. Correct? If true, console log yes, user is admin, right? I can write if this is false, if the condition is false. So if you see, this is now what, this is now not highlighted. Okay, this becomes a disabled line of code. Okay, and if you see, if I hover over it, it gives me, it says unreachable code detected. Okay, if I hover over it, it gives me unreachable code detected. Okay, so if I go here and if I refresh it, I can see nothing over here on the console. There's nothing on the console over here, right? Why? Because the condition is false. Okay, so over here, if a given condition is true, then it will execute the line of code. If it is not true, it won't execute the line of code. Okay, so let's see some more examples. Okay, so for example, let's say I have a variable, let x equals to 4, and let's say let y equals to, let's say, 10. Okay, so I'll write if x is greater than y, x is greater than y. So this is my condition, right? So there are conditional operators. Okay, so the way there were mathematical operators, we saw mathematical operators like plus, minus, multiplication, division. Those are nothing but mathematical operators. The way there are mathematical operators, there are conditional operators also. Okay, there is greater than. Okay, so what are the operators? So there it is greater than, then there is less than. Okay, then there is greater than, equal to, less than, equal to, there is double equal to, there is triple equal to, there is not equal to, there is not, and then double equal to. So these are some conditional operators, right? Obviously these are condition, right? If this greater sign basically means what? Condition. Double equal to means condition, equality, then not equal to, all of these are conditions. So if x is greater than y, okay, so if x is greater than y, then what I need to do, I'll just write console.log of, okay, I'll just write yes. Okay, but there can be another condition also. So if x is greater than y, I can write yes. Otherwise means else. Otherwise I can write console.log of, let's say, no. Okay, so over here what I'm doing is, if x is greater than y, then I do console.log of yes. Otherwise, okay, otherwise means otherwise. Okay, right? It's like, if not this, then this. Okay, there are two things, if not this, then this. So if this is true, then it will execute this line of code, console log of yes. If this condition is false, if x is not greater than y, it will just say no. If x is greater than y, it will execute this body of code. If x is not greater than y, that means if this condition is false, so this will log no on the console. So if you see over here, it gives me no. Okay, now this greater than sign, okay, all of these conditional operators, they give us a boolean value. Okay, this greater than sign, they give us a boolean value. Okay, let me show you. So over here, let me just write 3 greater than 4. Okay, so if you see, what is it giving? Okay, sorry, not 3 greater than y. Let me just write 3 greater than 4. So what is it giving? It's giving false. If I write 4 greater than 2, it is giving 3. So this greater than sign, okay, all of these conditional operators, these greater than, less than, these conditional operators will give me this true or false value. So that is why, see, I had written over here if it is true, because this greater than sign, this will basically give me a value. The value would be either true or false. That's why I written over here if true. So we got console.log yes, user is an admin. Okay, so here also the greater than sign will give me either true or false. So if this x is greater than y, that means if the value of x is greater than y, now x is 4 and y is 10. So since it is not greater, this will become false. Since this becomes false, it won't show me console.log of yes. It will just give me It will just give me no, right? But let's say if x is, let me just go back to the condition. But say if x is greater than y, let's say x is 40. If x is 40, it will give me yes. Why? Because when x is greater than y, so this will give me a value of true. This will give me a value of true. So if you see now, this becomes an unreachable code. Okay, this becomes an unreachable code for me. Okay, so why? Because why it is an unreachable code? Because this is already true. So this is never going to be executed. But if I write a condition over here, then it becomes okay. It's a reachable code. Okay. Now let me give you some beautiful examples over here. Okay. So okay. Now here, when I write x equals to 3 and y equals to 3 also in the form of a string. Okay. X equals to 3 and y equals to 3 in the form of a string, and let me just use double equal to. Okay. So what I'm saying is I'm checking whether x is equal to y, whether the value of x is equal to y. Now remember that x over here, x is a number. Over here, x is a number, and then y is a string over here. Okay. X is a number, and what is y? Y is a string. Okay. X is a number and y is a string. So I'm trying to compare both of them. I'm trying to compare x with y. So what should I get? Should I get a yes or should I get a no? Just put your answers in the chat. Okay. When I write x is equal to y, so will this condition be true? So see, if x is equal to y, that means if x and y are same, then I will get yes. If x and y are not same, I will get no. Okay. What do you think? Just put it in the chat. Come on. What do you think? What will I get? Will I get a yes or will I get a no? What will I get? Just remember that x is a string and y is a number. What do you think? What will be the answer? Yes, come on. Okay, cool. So when we see it over here, I'm getting a yes. Okay, I'm getting a yes. That means x and y both are same. But if you see over here, x is nothing but 3, which is a number, and y over here is a string. Okay, x is a number and y is a string over here. But still it says that both are same. So this is double equal to. Okay, so there are two types of equality check. Okay, but now let's say if I just put the triple equal to instead of double equal to, if I put triple equal to, and then if I see over here, it gives me no. Okay, that means it says that both x and y are not same. Okay, with double equal to, it was giving me a yes. That means x and y are same. But with triple equal to, it just gives a no. That means x and y are not same. Why it says? Because with double equal to, it will only check the value in the variable. It says, okay, x is 3 and y is also 3. Okay, it will check the value in the variable. But with triple equal to, it will also check the type of data, whether the type of data is also same. X is 3, which is a number, y is a string. X is a number, y is a string. So with that's why with triple equal to, this fails over here. This condition fails. This condition will become false over here. Okay, this condition will become what? It becomes false. Why? Because x and y, the value is same, but their data type is different. Okay, their value is same, but their data type is different. So that's why what happens is this condition becomes false, and that's why we are just getting no on the console. But when I write double equal to, it will never check the data type. It will only check the value that is there in the variable. If the values are same, if they look identical, if the values are same, if they look identical, then it will give me yes. Okay. Now the question arises, which one to use? Should we use double equal to or should we use triple equal to? Now both of them have their use case. It's not that you should never use double equal to. Double equal to should not be used, or only triple equal to has to be used. Both of them have their use cases. You can use double equal to at times, or you can also use triple equal to also. Okay, cool. So in the same way, you can just have a work around with not equals to and not double equal to. So okay, so this basically the double equal is called as an equality, triple equal is called as trig equality. This is one of the interview questions. Okay, these are also asked in interviews. Okay, what is the difference between double equal to? What is the difference between triple equal to? Right? Even for a fresher, this is asked. They might ask you what is the difference between double equal to and triple equal to, what is the difference between not equal to and triple, and this strict not equality. So this is equality check. This is triple equal to means strict equality. Not equals to means not equality, and this not with two equality signs is strict not equality. Okay, cool. Okay, I'm just having a look at the chat. Okay, how to link JS file in HTML page. So this is the way. Okay, if you have an HTML file, you can just link it in this way. You can just use a script tag inside the body tag, and in the source you can just specify the path of the file. Since in my case, index HTML file and JS file are in the same path, that's why I've written just the name of the file. Okay. Okay. Okay, cool. So let's move ahead. Okay. With this if and else, there also comes one other condition called as else if. Okay. So I'll just write else if, let's say if x is greater than or equal to y, x is greater than or equal to y, I can just write console.log of, let's say Tata, something like this. Okay. So over here, let's say if I put triple equal to, so over here what is happening over here, it just says if x is strictly equal to y, you just log yes. Else if x is greater than or equal to y, so else if basically means another condition. So like if this condition is true, okay, if this is not true, then I'll check the other one. If that is also not true, then I'll check the other one. Okay, if that is also not true, then whatever I have remaining, I'll just go with that. So there are three parts over here. If this condition is true, okay, then so the way if else if and else work, okay, so it will first check this strict equality. If this is true, it will just log yes, okay, on the console, and it won't bother to check the remaining two parts. Okay, obviously the last part will obviously not checked, it is just executed. If everything is failing, the else part is executed. Okay, but there are two conditions, if and else if. So out of them only one would be executed. Which one? Whichever one is true at the first time. So if this condition is true, if the strict equality is true, it will console log yes, and then it won't bother to check the second condition. But let's say if this is false, if this is not strictly equal to, then it will come and check the second condition. If the second condition is true, it will log this value. If this is also false, if the second condition is also false, whatever is in the else will be executed. Else means जो कुछ बचा है वो ले ही लो. Okay, whatever is remaining, just take it. Okay, वो होता ना, तू नहीं तो ये सही, वो नहीं तो तू नहीं तो कोई और सही, वो नहीं तो कोई और सही. If else and else work in the same way. अगर भाई तू नहीं तो कोई और ही सही, तू भी नहीं तो कोई और ही सही. Okay, this is how if else and else work. So if I have a look at this part over here, so the output would be Tata. Why it is Tata? So if you see, we know strictly equality. Okay, strictly, so x and y are strictly not equal to each other because x is a number, y is a string. Their data type is not the same, even though the value is same. So strictly not equal to each other. When I say x is greater than or equal to y, so here x is not greater than y, but it is equal to. So this is not strict equality. This is like a normal equality. So x is not greater than, but is equal to y. Okay, so this is not a strict equality, it's a normal equality wala part. It's not greater than, but it is equal to y. Okay, so it won't check the type over here. Okay, it will just check the value and just logs Tata. So that's why now the last part is never executed. Okay, but let's say over here also, if I had written something like this, if x is greater than y, no, x is not greater than y because x is 3 and y is also 3. Okay, so it just gives me no. Okay, if you see, it just gives me no. Okay, cool. So this is how it works. Okay. Now let's do a small exercise. Okay, let's do a small exercise of finding A very simple exercise, like finding whether the given number is an even number or an odd number. Okay, so let's say I have this number itself, which is 3. I have to find whether this number is an even number or an odd number. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say, I'll just create a condition. So what can be my condition? So I'll just write let, or let's say I'll just write if. How do you find whether the number is even or an odd number? If you divide a number by 2, right, and if the remainder is 0, then the number is even, right? If you divide any number by 2, if the remainder is 0, then the number is even. If the remainder is odd, if the remainder is not 0, right, if you get another remainder, like obviously you'll get 1, then the number is an odd number. So I'll write, how do we find the remainder? I'll just write x modulus 2. Why x modulus 2? Because x as a variable is the variable in which number is 2. X modulus 2. Okay, modulus will always give me the remainder. Okay, if you want to see, we can just do a console.log of x modulus 2. So if I do x modulus 2, I get 1. Okay, if x is 4, then if I do x modulus 2, I get 0. Okay, if let's say x is 11, then if I do x modulus 2, that means I get 1. So it is dividing x by 2. Okay, that means this number by 2, and it is giving us the remainder. Modulus sign gives me the remainder. Okay, so let's say this is the number. So I'll write condition if x modulus 2, if it is equal to 0. If x modulus 2, if it is triple equal to 0, that means if I divide x by 2, and the value that I get from here, if that is equal to 0, okay, if I divide x by 2 and the value that I get from here, if that is equal to 0, then what I'll do is I'll just write console.log. I want to write x is an odd number, so I'll use template literal, or I'll just write whatever is a number, and let's say it should be 11 is an odd number, right? Sorry, it's an even number. If this is equal to 0, then it's an even number. So instead of 11 over here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use $sign, and then I'm going to write x, right? If I divide x by 2, okay, if I divide x by 2, and if the remainder is 0, okay, if the remainder is 0, so if I get 0 over here, so then it becomes 0. So 0 triple equal to 0, it is right, it is 0 only. Okay, it is true. This condition will become true, right? So I'm writing over here, if I divide x by 2, and whatever remainder I get, if it is equal to 0, then I'll write x is an even number. Otherwise, I will write console.log template literal $sign x is an odd number. So what I'm going to get, will I get x is an even number or get x is an odd number? Obviously I'm going to get x is an odd number. So if I run the code, I get x is an odd number. Why? Because since x is 11, so if I divide x by 2, the remainder is not going to be 0. The remainder is going to be 1. So then I'll check 1 with this 0, right? So that obviously I'll get value 1 over here. Okay, so this is how it will break down. I'll get 1 over here. And is this condition true? 1 equals to 0? No, 1 is not equal to 0. Even the value is not equal to 0. Even though the type is same, the value is not equal to the values are not the same. So this condition becomes false. So since this is not true, this will become false. If this is false, obviously this line of code will never be executed. It will directly come into this else case and it will execute. It is an odd number. Okay. So in the same way, let's say if I make this as 110, obviously 110 is what? Is an even number. So let's give 110 is an even number. Why? Because when x is divided by 2, the remainder would be 0 now, right? So now 0 equals to 0. Yes, this condition becomes true. Once this condition is true, it will execute this line of code. Okay, this line of code will never be executed. Okay, so this is how under the hood it is actually working. Internally, it works in this way. Is this clear, everyone? I'm just having a look at the chat. Okay. Okay. Cool. Let's take one more example and then we can take a small break. Okay. This session will go on. It will go on up to 1 o'clock. Okay. So we'll do one more example, then we'll take a break. Okay. So now let's take an example of something called as foo bar. Okay, example of foo bar. Okay, so what is foo bar? So let's say if let's say if a is number is divisible by 3, then you log foo. Okay, if it is divisible by 5, you log bar. If it's divisible by foo, and if it's divisible by 3 and 5, you log foo bar. Otherwise you log the number. Okay, so if a number is divisible by 3, you log foo. If it is divisible by 5, you log bar. If it is divisible by 3 and 5 both, okay, 3 and 5 both, then you log foo bar. Otherwise you just log the number. Okay, cool. So let's take a number. So let's say const let y equals to let's say we'll write y equals to, let's say 15. Okay, this number. Now this number is divisible by both. It is divisible by 3, it is divisible by 5, and it is divisible by 3 and 5 both. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, so I have to write a condition in such a way that firstly I have to check whether it is divisible by both 3 and 5. So I'll write if divisible by b. Divisible b is basically means when you divide a number by 3, the remainder should be 0. Okay, if a number is completely divisible, basically means the remainder is 0. Okay, that is the meaning of divisible. Okay, what is divisible? A number is completely divided. Okay, number is divided. If you divide a number and the remainder is 0, that means the number is divisible by that number. So I'll write, so again I have to take the modulus. So I'll write x modulus 3 if it is equal to 0. Now there are multiple conditions. So I'll use and. Okay, x modulus 5 if is equal to 0. Okay, so if I divide x by 3 and if the remainder is 0, and if I divide x by 5 and again if the remainder is 0, I'll write console.log foo bar. That means it is divisible by both. Else if, okay, else if x is only divisible, let's say by 3, if x is divisible by 3, right, then I'll write console.log foo. Okay, else if, otherwise another condition, if x is only divisible by 5, x modulus 5 is equal to 0, I'll write console.log, let's say bar. Okay, 0 0, else I just have to put the number. So that was the last condition. Otherwise you just log the number. Else I'll just do console.log of x. Okay, or let's say it's not x, it is y. Let me just change this to x. Okay, so I've written over here the first condition is if x modulus 3 equals to 0. That means if x is if you divide x by 3 and if the remainder is 0, divide x by 5 and the remainder is 0, that means it's foo bar. That means it is divisible by both 3 and 5. If otherwise, if the number is divisible by only 3, then I write foo. If the number is divisible by only 5, I'm going to log bar. Otherwise only the number, right? So if I save it now, if you see, it is foo bar. Why? Because the number is 15. Okay, if you see foo bar, the number is what? 15. 15 is divisible by 3 and by 5 also. Okay, let's say if I write 25. Okay, so what should it give me? Should it give me foo bar, foo or bar? If I check it, it will give me bar. Why? Because it's the number 25. 25 is divisible by 5, not by 3, so it's giving me bar. Let's say if I write 21 over here. Okay, so it should give me foo because it is 21 and 21 is divisible by 3. Let's say if I write 22, now 22 is neither divisible by 5, neither divisible by 3. So if I save it, I'm going to get the number which is 22. Okay, so this is how conditions and multiple conditions work. Okay, so you can read about these things also. Again, you can read more about these things on GFG, right? about how these multiple conditions work together. What is foo bar, right? So this is another an interview question. Where honestly, this is an interview question where you might be asked these things. Okay, as a fresher, you will be asked. Obviously, as an experienced developer, it is foolishness to ask questions like this. Um, if you're an experienced developer and if they ask you this question, you just end the interview by your own self. Okay. But if you're a fresher, obviously they can ask you this question. I used to ask these questions when I used to interview at GFG. I used to ask all of these questions for any fresher mentor who used to come, that write something like this. Show me what all you understand by this code or how you're going to approach this code. Okay. So yeah. So the first condition, if you see there are multiple conditions, and basically means both of these conditions should be true. Okay. There is and there is and there is or also. Okay. So and basically means both of these conditions should be true, or basically means either of the condition is true. Okay. So let's say instead of this or, if instead of this and if I make this or, okay, and if I write 25 over here, so what it will give me? Okay, will it give me bar or it will give me foo bar? Okay, if you see, it gives me foo bar. Why? Because it will first check if uh, 25 is divisible by 3. 25 is not divisible by 3. It says or x is divisible by 5. Over here it is x is divisible by 3 or x is divisible by 5. So x was not divisible by 3. Okay, but x is divisible by 5. So or either of them. So since x is divisible by 5, it gives foo bar. Okay, but with and, both of the conditions should be true. If both of the condition is true, like this and that, both of them, it's not this or that, it is this and that. Okay, if this and that both of them are true, then only it will log foo bar. Okay, with or it is this or that. If this is false, okay, if this is not true, if the other one is true, then also you can log it. Okay. Okay, cool, great. So we are clear till here. Okay, any questions, any doubt, anyone wants to ask anything? Are you all having good time? Are you all enjoying the session? Or I'm boring you all? I can still see there are 26 odd number of people in the session. Um, I'm just refreshing the chat to see the chat. Okay. Is it good? Just put it in the chat if you're liking it, disliking it, whatever it is. Okay. So in the meanwhile, what we'll do is we'll just take a break of 10 minutes. Okay. And then we will come back in 10 minutes. I'm just checking the chat if there's anything in the chat. Okay, cool. Okay, so just take a break for 10 minutes. I'll just put a timer over here, timer for 10 minutes, and then we'll just come back in 10 minutes. Okay, just take a break. Uh, Okay, so we are back. If you can hear me, if you can see me, just let me know in the chat. In the chat. Okay. Let's move ahead. Okay. So the conditions part is done. What we're going to do now is we're going to learn some loops. Okay. Maybe in the next session we can basically create some projects and work on some projects. Okay, coming Saturday. Okay. So let's say how we can create loops. Okay. So obviously, if ever want to, you basically, let's say you want to search something, or let's say understand something, you just have to go to Google and just search for, let's say, for loop JavaScript, right? Obviously you'll get an article for GFG. You just read these articles. Okay, so if you see over here, there are the way it is written, right? If not, let's say if you want a more documented way, right? In the documentation, you can always read this part. Okay, so this is MDN. So even if I just search for loop and then MDN is the documentation created by Mozilla developers. Okay, Mozilla Firefox. So their developers basically have created this documentation. So this is quite like a very technical documentation, right? So I suggest you basically, since if you're a beginner, you start with these documentations from JavaScript, from GFG. Okay, so whatever is written over here in the GFG part, you basically start with all of these things. And then if you want a more technical analysis or a more technical understanding, then you can just search for the way I've written for loop and then search for MD and then just write MDN. Okay, so it will open and you can read for any of these documentations from here, right? How this basically works and how this actually works, right? Okay. So let's see how for loop actually works. Okay. So it is, the syntax is simple. So if you see the syntax is written over here, it's initialization, condition, and then afterthought. Okay. So for loop is, firstly, it's an initial value. Okay. Initialization basically means initial value. Then condition. That's why we learned if and else condition first, then condition. And then comes an increment or decrement value. Okay. Increment or decrement value. Okay. And then if the condition is satisfied, again with for loop also there is condition. The way we are seeing over here, if a condition is satisfied, then you basically log something on the screen. So here also, if this condition is satisfied, if this condition is true, then basically it will keep on iterating it or executing it. Okay, so it's a loop. A loop basically is like something which is repeating on a continuous basis, on a continuous thing. So I'll give you an example. So I'll just write for, let's say we'll declare a variable, let I equals to 0. Okay, and I'll just write condition I is less than 9. Okay, or let's say I is less than 10, and I have to increase the value of I. So I'll just write I plus plus. Okay, and I'll just do a console.log of let's say the value of I is, and then $sign and then I. Okay, so it will log the value of I. Okay, so if we see in the console, if I run the code, so if you see the value of I is 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and then till 9. Okay, so what is happening over here? Okay, so how does for loop work? So it will initialize a variable, right, with a value I equals to 0, or whichever variable you want. And then it checks a condition, right, whether the initial value is satisfying this condition or not, right? Whether or not the initial value is satisfying the condition or not. So here the value of I is 0, and the condition is I less than 10. The value of I is 0 and the condition is I less than 10. So yes, I is less than 10. Okay. If I is less than 10, then it will execute this line of code. Okay. So that's why it says the value of I is whatever was the initial value. It was 0. So it says the value of I is 0. Okay. Then what it will do? Then it will increase the value of I by 1. Okay. It will increase the value of I by 1. So it was 0. So I plus plus. What is I plus plus? I plus plus basically means I plus 1. Okay. So basically, okay. I plus plus basically means I equals to I plus 1. Okay. So it will increase the value of I by 1 and again store it in I itself. It will increase the value of I by 1 and again store it in I itself. So I plus plus basically means I equals to I plus 1. Increase the value of I by 1 and store it back in I itself. Okay. So what happens over here? I is 0. Okay. Checks the condition. The condition is true. So it will log the value of I, which is 0. So that's why we got 0. That will increase the value of I by 1. I plus plus. So now the new value of I is 1. The new value of I is what? 1. Again, it will check the condition. Is I less than 10? I is again less than 10. It will log the new value of I, which is 1 in this case. Then again, it will increase the value of I by 1. Okay. Again, it will increase the value of I by 1. So now the new value of I, okay, is 1. So if we increase it by 1, so I becomes 2. Right? Right? So again, it will check once I becomes 2, it will again check the condition. Is the condition true? So I is 2 and it is less than 10. Again, to log the value of I, and it goes on in that way. So how does it happen? Again, if I tell you, initially it will initialize the value of I. So the initial value of I is 0. It will then check the condition. Is I less than 10? So yes, I is less than 10. Right? So it will log the value of I, which is nothing but 0. Okay, the value of I is nothing but what? It is 0 because initial value of I was 0. It will increase the value of I by 1. It will increase the value of I by 1. So this basically becomes 0 plus 1. So initial value of I was 0. So 0 plus 1. What is 0 plus 1? 0 plus 1 is 1. And this 1 is stored back into the variable I. So the new value of I is 1. Okay. So again, it will check the condition. Is I less than 10? So I is definitely less than 10. So it will, because the value of I is 1. So to log the value of I, the new value of I is what? 1. Again, then it will increase the value of I by 1. Okay. So the current value of I is 1. Right. So when you increase again I by 1, so the new value becomes 2. It will again check the condition, and it will, if the condition is true, it will again execute this line of code. Now let's say I becomes 8. Okay. I is 8. Okay. Or let's say I is 9. If I is 9, it checks this condition. Okay. So the value of I is 9. So 9 is less than 10. So it will log the value of I, which is 9 over here. Now then what will happen? It will again increase the value of I by 1. So now I becomes what? It becomes 10 because the current value of I is 9. If you increase the value of I by 1, so it becomes 10. So it will check the condition. If is I less than 10? Okay. No. I is not less than 10 because I is also 10. 10 is not less than 10. It will basically come out of this loop. Okay. So if after this loop, if I write console.log, okay, loop done. Okay. Or over here, okay, I'll just write loop end over here. And over here, let's say if I write a console.log of start. So if you see, it gives loop start, then it logs 0 to 9, then gives a loop end. Okay. Loop start, it logs 0 to 9, it gives a loop end. Okay. This is how it actually working. Okay. Is this clear? Is this clear? Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So inside the for loop also, we can again find if a given number is even or odd. How do I find a given number is even or odd? Again, the same way. Inside a for loop, I can write a condition. Inside a for loop, again, I can write a condition. I can write if I, okay, modulus 2, if it is equal to 0. Okay, I modulus 2 equal to 0. Then what I'm going to log? I'm just going to log that I is an even number. So I'll just write the dollar sign and write I is an even number. Else what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a console.log $, and then I is an odd number. Okay, so here there's a for loop which is running. Okay, inside the for loop now there is condition. What is the condition? Whatever is the given value of I. See that there are two conditions. Firstly, this condition should be satisfied. But the value of I is less than 10, right? If it is less than 10, let's say I is 0, so it will check. Okay, when we divide I by 2, if okay, not double equal to triple equals to, if the remainder is 0, right, then it's an even number. If the remainder is odd, it's what? It's an, if the remainder is not 0, it's an odd number. So if I run the code now, so if you see, it just gives me 0 is an even number, 1 is an odd number. Okay, technically you should not start with 0 itself. We just have to start with 1. Okay, save. Okay, so now over here it says 1 is an odd number, 2 is an even number, 3 odd number, 4 even number, 5 odd number. Okay, so it is working. Okay, and then it goes only till 9. After 9, what happens? The loop ends. Okay, so in this way, inside a for loop also we can write some given conditions. Okay, inside the for loop also, what we can, some given condition. Okay, that okay, this and in the same way you can also do it for this foo bar also. Okay, so what I want you all to do is, the way we have done it over here for the even and odd, I want you all to do it with the foo bar also. Okay, I want you all to do it with what? The foo bar. So for people who have joined and for people who are doing it, okay, so what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to give you some time. Okay, so I think most of the people are there since the beginning, so take an exercise. Okay, I'm just going to give you some time. Okay, I'll give you how much time? I'll just give you, let's say, some 4 minutes. Okay, I'll give you 4 minutes, and what I want you to do is, you create a for loop. Okay, for number between 1 to 50, create a for loop. Okay, so what is your exercise? Create a for loop for number between 1 to 50. Okay, so you start with 1 and basically you'll end up till the condition will be 50. Okay, create a for loop for number between 1 to 50, and then you do this foo bar exercise, and then if a number is divisible by 3, then you log foo. If it is divisible by 5, you log bar. If it is divisible by 3 and 5 both, you log foo bar. Otherwise, you just log the number. So initially when we did it, we were just taking one number. Now what I want you to do is, I want you to create a for loop. So go step by step. Okay, go step by step. For let I equals to 1, I less than 50, I plus plus. You just increase the value of I by 1. You log the value of I. Okay, let's say I'll write the first thing for you. So I'll just write for let I, okay, you only do it. Okay, this, I don't think I should do it. So you only do it. Okay, I'm giving you how many minutes? I'm giving you 4 minutes. Okay, I'm giving you 4 minutes to do this part. Okay, so take 4 minutes. Okay, if you have any questions, any doubt, you can ask. Are you all done? Have you all done it? The exercise? Yes, no. Are you all able to do it? Not able to do it? You can put it in the chat. I had given you time. Are you all doing it with me? Not doing it with me. Finished? Good, good. Okay. So let me do it. There's no, obviously there's actually no need to write anything. I can just copy paste the entire code, or let me write it. So it's for let I equals to 0, right? Semicolon I less than, let's say 51, because I want to go to 50, right? So I'll go for 51 and then I plus plus. Okay. Make sure you put semicolon, not comma, okay? Because it's like a new line of code. And I'll write if it is divisible by, if it is divisible by 3, right? And I is also completely divisible by 5. If I is divisible by 3 and I is completely divisible by 5, not 1, then I'll write console log foo bar. Okay. I'll just write else if I is only divisible by 3, then I'll write foo. Foo. Else if I is completely divisible by only 5, then I'll write foo bar. I'll write what? Bar. Okay, bar, not bad. Else, if nothing is satisfied, I'll just write console.log of I. This is an interview question that is asked every time. Okay. As I told you before also, I have asked myself, I've asked these questions. And also asked my students also, what questions do you all get asked in interviews? For freshers, I've always asked them. And they have told me that they have gotten this question a lot of times. So if I check it now over here, yeah. So if you see in the console, okay, let me just comment this part now. Loop start, loop end. Okay. So now if you see, if I reload this, so foo bar, okay, where I'm starting from 0. Let's not start from 0. Let's start from 1. Okay. So when we start from 1, it is logging the number 1 and logging number 2. Why? Because 1 and 2, both of them are neither divisible by 3, neither they are divisible by 5. So it is giving 1 and 2. Then 3. Okay. Then 3. Then comes number 3. I is 3, so it is completely divisible by 3 only, right? Over here it is divisible by 3, but it is not divisible by 5. So it does not give me foo bar. It gives me directly foo. Okay. Then it logs the number 4, because 4 is neither divisible by 3, neither divisible by 5. Then comes 5. Okay. 5 is it 5 for 5 it gives what? Bar. Okay. Yeah. And then over here there is foo bar, because this is the number 15. So 15 is divisible by both 3 and 5. Okay, so how many foo bar are there? Over here there is also foo bar, which is 30. 30 is also divisible by 3 and 5, right? Again, there is a foo bar for 45. Okay, so this is how basically it works. Okay, you might be given this question in an interview. Okay, where basically you have to do it in this way. Okay. Okay, cool. So yeah, and there are many things in loop. Okay, not only this part. Okay, but obviously I'm not going to touch each and every thing as of for now, because then it becomes quite boring of a part. Okay, but there are a lot of things. If you go through this article also, GFG, they have added many things over here. Many things over here. So I'm actually not taking as of now. Okay, cool. So let's move ahead. Okay. let's move ahead to another important topic. Okay, a very beautiful topic. Today I'm just going to touch the basic of this topic, and then in the next class I'm just going to touch some advanced part. Just remember all of these things, whatever we are doing, right? See, I'm just trying to build your basics. I'm just trying to build your foundation, and then when we keep on moving ahead, we'll basically do multiple projects also. Okay. In the advanced part, we'll do some projects. We'll basically also have a look at some important concepts like closures and everything, higher order functions, and all of those things. Okay. But now we're just having a look at very basic function. So what is a function? Okay, we all functions are always called as heart of any programming language. Okay, functions are called as what? Heart of any programming language. What is function? Function is a very useful thing. Okay, we basically use function in order to write codes which are going to be used multiple times in our entire project. Okay, let's say you have a project, and in your given project you might be having multiple screens, multiple. Okay, if you imagine a website, just imagine a website. In a website there are multiple screens. Okay, let's imagine a e-commerce website. What is there in an e-commerce website? There is a products page, there is a cart page, there is a wish list page, there is a page where you can see your address, there is a profile page, there is a product detail page, there are some promotions page, right? And there are so many other pages over there, right? So on every page, basically, let's say there might be a logic which is used on every single page. Okay, which is used on every single page. So rather than writing the same logic everywhere on the every page, what we do is we create a function. Okay, we create a function. We also say that I'm creating a method. We just basically create a function, and then we reuse the function everywhere. So every piece of code which basically is repeated somewhere down the line, we just create a function for that. Okay, that's what a function actually is. So let me create a function. Okay, how do you create a function? You just use a keyword function, and I'll write function. Let's say the name of the function is display some message or show message. Okay, again camel casing. Everything you write is camel casing. Okay, first alphabet of the first word is in lowercase, and then first alphabet of the second word is in uppercase. And then over here, show message, I'm just going to write console.log. Hello, I am Prakash. Or let's say hello Prakash. Welcome to JS Marathon. Okay, and save it. So this is a function. Okay, everything is commented. Now, if I go and check in the console, I will get nothing in the console. Okay, I'm going to get nothing in the console. Okay, hello Prakash, welcome to JS Marathon. I'm getting nothing in the console. Okay, this is how functions actually work. So if I want to see anything in the console, I have to do what? So this is called as function. I'm creating a function, declaring a function. Okay, this is called as declaring a function, creating a function. Whatever you want to say, you say it. Okay, but if I want this line of code to be executed, if I want the body of code to be executed inside the function, I have to call the function. What I have to do? Call the function. How do you call the function? You write the name of the function and you put parentheses. Okay, you write the name of the function and you write parentheses. So now if you see over here, you just see hello Prakash, welcome to JS Marathon. Hello Prakash and welcome to what? JS Marathon. Okay, so you might be saying, okay, console log, so we directly write only. Why is there a need? So again, telling you, for an example, I'm just taking this as an example, but functions are generally used when basically there are some codes which are basically going to be repeated everywhere. Okay, all across the project is going to be repeated everywhere. So rather than writing the same thing again and again everywhere, I'm just going to create a function out of that, and I'm just going to use it wherever I want to use it. Okay, so for example, let's say this only. Okay, let's say I have a website, and on the website I just want to display the name of the user. Hello Prakash and welcome to this website and continue shopping and all of those things. So rather than writing the same thing everywhere, I just create a method for it and just use that method. Okay, got it. So now I can call this method multiple times also. So if the number of times I call it, that number of times I'm basically going to get hello, welcome to JS Marathon. Okay, cool. Okay. Let's move ahead. Okay. Given any function, I can pass any value to the function also. Given any function, I can pass any value to the function. Okay, so this is the function. In the parentheses, this can basically take any value also. The value that it takes is called as parameter. So let's say it is taking name as a parameter. Okay, so what I can do is when I call the function, I can pass a name. I can pass a value for that corresponding to the name. So let's say I'm passing Sakshi. Okay, not Sakashi, Sakshi. Okay, so show message, and then it takes a parameter. It says name is declared, but its value is never used. It's, if you see, it's a parameter. The name is a parameter. Okay, and but it says declared, but its value is never used. So we'll use it over here. Okay, so I'll just use the tilde over here and the tilde over here, and instead of Prakash, what I need to do is I just need to replace it with this variable name and a dollar sign over here. Okay, so it says console.log hello. Okay, whatever name I'm passing. Okay, since I'm passing Sakshi, welcome to JS Marathon. Okay, now if you see, the beautiful part over here is that I can just start show message. I can pass any name. Ashish. Hello. Okay, let's say show message. Neat. See, and then let's say the last name, show message, and let's say if it's Dove. So over here, if you see, hello Sakshi, welcome to JS Marathon, and all of the things, Ashish, Sadav. I'm basically adding all of the names, right? And so what is happening over here? See, the good part is that the message is the same, right? Only what is changing, the value of the variable is changing, right? When I call the method with Sakshi, the value of the variable is Sakshi. When I call the method with Ashish, the value of the variable name becomes Ashish. When I call the variable, okay, or when I call the method with Avneet, the value becomes what we say Avneet. When I call it with Sadav, the value of the variable name becomes Sadav. Okay, so this is how basically it works. Okay. Okay, cool. Arya Gupta, is the audio still low? Glitch हो रहा है थोड़ा. Is it still low? Or no? Okay, so this is how we basically create a method. Now in this method, you can pass multiple values. Let's say you can also pass the name of the course also. So let's say there is course. Now see which course the person is taking. So instead of, let's say, JS Marathon, I'll just change it to course over here, and then the dollar sign. Okay, so hello, and then name and welcome to whichever course. Okay, so let's say, and how do I pass multiple values? The way I'm passing parameters separated by comma, I'll put comma, and then I'll write, let's say it is data analytics course she's enrolling into. Let's say is enrolling into this machine learning course. Okay, let's say she is enrolling into the product manager course. Let's say she is enrolling into FSML course, or let's say JS का, ठीक है, JavaScript only. Okay, so so over here now, when I look at the console, if you see, everything is different. Hello Sakshi, welcome to data analytics marathon session. Ashish to machine learning, Avneet to product manager, and Sadav to JavaScript marathon session. So here, this is a beautiful part of having a method. So just try to articulate, just try to understand. Even if your message looks similar, you can pass multiple other values, right? When you think of, if let's say, if the function is not there, then everywhere you have to write these same lines again and again. It becomes quite repetitive, right? But let's say you just have a method and you're just calling the method with the given values. You have a method, you're calling the method with the given values, and that method is on its own doing multiple things and just giving you the value back. Okay, method is doing some of the other thing and giving you the value back. Got it? Okay. Now a method can also return some values also. So let's say instead of this console log, what I'm going to do is I can basically store the value also. So I can just write const, or I just write let message equals to, this is the message, and what I can do is I can just return the message. Okay, so a function can always returns something. Okay, a function can return a value. Okay, where does it return? It will return to this line of code only. Wherever the function has been called, to that line it will return the value. Okay, so let's say I will just comment all of them for now, and I'll just write over here const, or I'll just take let text equals to, okay, show message. Okay, so what I'm doing over here is, see, I'm calling a function. When I'm calling a function, this function is returning a value. Okay, I'm calling a function. This function is what it is doing. It is returning a value. Okay, value can be, see, again, when I say value is not necessarily only a number. Value can be a string also. Okay, so this method is returning a message. Okay, let's forget about value. It's returning this message. When it returns a message, how can I get that message? Okay, this function is returning that message. How and where can I get the message? So I can get the message on this line itself, wherever the method is being called, or wherever this function is being called. And if the function is returning a value, okay, if a function is returning a value, so wherever the function is called, I'll get the value there itself. So I can just write let text equals to, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign this function a variable. Okay, I'm going to assign this function what? A variable. So let text equals to show message. And then when I do a console.log of text, I'm again going to get the same thing only. See, I'm getting hello Sakshi, welcome to data analytics marathon session. Okay, so what is happening over here? What is happening over here? When I'm writing this thing, when I'm calling this function show message, when I'm calling this function show message, okay, with this parameter or with this value Sakshi and data analytics. Okay, so this method is creating a message and is returning the message. Where is the message returned? The message is returned to the place where the function is called. Message is always returned to the place where the function is what? Function is called. And so since it is returned over here, I can assign it to a variable. Yes, I've assigned it to a variable, and then I can log the variable. So I get the same value. This is what return actually means. Okay, and every method returns, even if you're not writing return, it will still return something. What does it return? It returns something called as undefined. We'll see what that also is. Okay, let's move ahead. Okay, so this is about functions. Okay, this is what about functions. Okay, let's move ahead and look at some interesting data types. Okay, so we saw string, number, and boolean. Number can be a whole number, it can be a fractional number. Okay, number with decimal points and all of those things. Okay, there is no distinguish between number. It's not integer, it's not float, it's not something like that. It's just a number in JavaScript. Okay, whether it is a whole number or it's a fractional number, it's just a number. Then we saw string. Anything written in inverted quotes is a string. Then we saw boolean, true and false. Now let's see something called as an array. Array is beautiful. Okay, so I'll just say let students equals to, okay, I'll have a name, I'll have my student's name. Okay, so let students equals to, let's say Ashish, Sakshi, Neet, and let's say Sadaf. So I have these 4 students with me. Okay, so how do I create an array? So if I want to create an array, I just have to use these square brackets. Okay, and then pass my values that I want to pass in it, separated by comma. Okay, so if I want to create an array, I just have to use these square brackets and just add my values separated by comma. So this was one value, then comma the another value, then comma the other value, comma another value. Okay, I can also add numbers also. Let's say 84, okay, let's say 89 and something like that. And then I can log this array also. So I can just do console.log, let's say students. So if I save this, so if you see in the over here, it gives me a number 6 and then all the values. So what is 6? 6 basically is the number of elements or items in the array. Okay, 6 is nothing but the number of elements or items in the array. Okay, Got it? So this is nothing but the number of elements or items in the array. So an array can have anything. It can also have a floating point number also. So let's say 34 point something something. Okay. So now there are 7 elements in the array. Cool. Okay. Let's say if you want to access only one element at a time. Okay. You just want to see what is the value of Ashish. So if you just want to console log only Ashish. Okay, that is the first student. So I just want to console the first name of the first student and let's say name of the last student. I just want to console these two names. So how do I do it? So in order to do it, what does array do? Whenever you write any element in an array, right? Array will assign those elements some position. So if you see this is the first element, right? Naturally, this is the second element, right? Because everything is separated by a comma. This is the third element. This is the fourth element. Okay. So that means this is at position 1, this is at position 2, this is at position 3, this is at position 4. But in programming, in coding, position never starts from 1. It will all start from 0. Okay. It will all start from 0. And that positioning is also called as index. Okay. Position or place is called as index. So this is called as index. So the index of Ashish is 0. Okay, or we can say Ashish is at index 0 in the array. Sakshi is at index 2 in the array. Avneet is at index, Ashish is at index 0 in the array. Sakshi is at index 1 in the array. Avneet is at index 2 in the array. Sadaf is at index 3 in the array. So this does not start from 1, it starts from 0, then 1, then 2, and then 3. Okay. So now if I want to only log the first and the last element, since Ashish is at index 0, position 0, so I have to write students and then in square brackets, I can specify its position 0. Okay. Save it. So if I go and check, I get Ashish only. Okay. I'll show you. Okay. So if you see over here, if I just log students, it gives me this part, Ashish, Sakshi, it's an array. But if I click over here, so if you see over here, 0 and then Ashish. Okay. So basically the index of Ashish is 0 and all of these things, right? So if I want to access them individually, I can write the name of the array and the position. Okay. So what I want to log is I want to log the value at index 0 in the students array. I want to log the value at index 0 in the students array. So I get Ashish. Let's say I want to log the last one. So I can just do console.log students square brackets. Okay. Then 3, because now it is visible that it is for 0, 1, 2, and 3, obviously. So if I save it, so I'll get Ashish and Sadaf over here. Okay. Okay. Cool. You can write some of the other things in the middle of the chart also. Okay. I think okay, great. Everyone is paying attention. That's why now kuch chat mein masti basti nahi ho raha. It's good thing. I'm assuming that you all are paying attention. I'm assuming that you all are understanding something. I'm assuming that you all are getting to know something. Okay. Great. Cool. So in the same way, I can also log the value for Ashish, Sakshi, and Avneet also. This will be students square brackets 1. For her, it will be console.log students square brackets 2. Okay. So I get all of them. Okay. Ashish, Sakshi, Avneet, Sadaf. Okay. Great. Okay. My students, all of my students. Okay. So now, let's say there is a problem over here. What is the problem? Let's say if I have a very huge array, okay, okay, and someone tells me, you just only log the first value of the array and the last value of the array. Right? First value of the array is what? It is Ashish, or first element. It can be say first value, first element, first item. Okay, just understand the name. Okay, value, element, item. Just log the first item in the array. The first item is Ashish. Log the last element in the array. Okay, it's Sadaf. Okay, why? Because it's quite visible now. I can see it's 0, 1, 2, and 3. But let's say it is a very huge array coming from somewhere, right? And then they say log the first and the last. First one is very easy because you have to just put 0. Right? How do you get the last one? Right? I can't simply go and keep on I can't counting, right? Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can't do that, right? Obviously, that's so stupidity. I can't do that. So how will I get the last element? How can I get the last element? So now to get the last element, arrays gives me a very beautiful thing. Okay, array will give me it array has a key which will basically give me the length of an array. Okay, so now I can visibly see the length is 4. So I can just write console.log students is students dot length, length, students dot length. Okay, let me comment this out. So I can just got students dot length. So what do students dot length? If you see, I get what? 4. Students dot length, I get 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? And I know that positioning starts from 0. Right? 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and this is the first element. So length is 4. Right? Positioning starts from 0, 1, 2, 3. So obviously, if I have length in the picture, then obviously I can know what is the last element. Because even if the length is 100, that means there are 100 elements. Okay, now if you understand over here, the length is 4, that means there are 4 elements. Okay, if the first is starting from 0, obviously the last one would be 3 only, because there are 4 elements. If it starts from 0, 1, 2, and 3, right? In the same way, there are 10 elements in the array. The length is 10. All right, with students dot length. When I write students dot length, I'm getting the length of the array. This dot length, okay, it says gets or sets the length of the array. This is if you read over, this is a number 1 higher than the highest index in the array. Got it? The answer is over here only. What is students dot length? It will get the length of the array, and this is a number 1 higher than the highest index in the array. So whatever is your highest index in the array, length is always 1 higher than that number. Okay, it says this number is 1 higher than the highest index in the array. So whatever is your highest index, so length is always 1 less than, right? So if you subtract 1 from the length, basically you'll get the highest index, right? Because if the length is 5 over here, we know it starts from 0, it will obviously end at 4. So in the same way, if the length is 100, if it starts from 0, the last index will end at 99. So over here, if someone says, okay, just find the last element. Okay, so it will be console.log. Okay, or I can just write over here, let index of last item equals to students dot length. It is -1. Yes or no? We just read right now only, right? What it since the length is 1 higher than the last index. Length is 1 higher than the last index. So if the last index is 3, length is 4. If the last index is 99, length is 100. If the last index is 10, length is 11. If the last index is 500, length is 501. So length is 1 higher than the last index in the array. So if I want to get the last index, I can subtract 1 from the length. Yes, I can subtract 1 from the length. I'll get the index of the last item. So over here, I can just write console.log students in square brackets. I can use that variable index of the last item, right? In square brackets, instead of writing 0, 1, 2, 3, I can write index of the last item also. So now I can get what? The last item, which is sort of cool. Is everyone understanding? Yes, no. You can put it in the chat also if you're understanding or not. I'm just trying to check it. Okay. Cool. Okay, great. Okay. Badhiya. Okay. Now let's move ahead. Okay. So this was done. So now what I can do is, okay, so over here, if you see there is a repetition, right? Let's say if someone tells you, you just log every element which is there in the array one after the other, right? Someone tells you log every element in the array one after the other. You write it in this way: students square bracket 0, 1, 2, 3. But it's not a good way, right? So for this, we learned something called as for loop. See, everything that I'm teaching is just interrelation of everything. So how do we do? We just for, okay, and I'll teach you on a new loop, a new way, okay? Instead of writing for I equals to all of these things, okay, what I can, or let's say I can start in this way: let I equals to 0. Since it will be an index, right? Since we're looping over array, we should always start with 0. I less than students dot length, okay, the entire length, okay, because I have to go over the entire length, right? I have to go over the entire loop. So the entire loop, now I know it is 4 elements. So I could have simply written I less than 4. So it starts from 0, 1, 2, and 3. 4 elements: 0, 1, 2, and 3. But if the array is too big, I do not know the length. So I know, how do I find the length? It is students dot length, right? and then I plus plus. So what I can do is console.log students square brackets, instead of 0, 1, 2, 3, I can write I, simply write, because I know the value of I initially is 0. So it will be students square brackets 0. Okay, so it will be okay. It will first check the condition: is I less than the length of the students? Yes, it is length, because length is 4, I is 0. So student square bracket 0. Okay, then it will increase I by 1, so I will become 1, right? It will check the condition. Okay, so it is less, I is less than 4, so then it will log student square brackets 1. I will increase by 1 again, it will become 2, so 2 is less than 4, student square brackets 2. Okay, then it will I becomes 3, so I is less than 4, so student square brackets 3, right? Then I becomes 4, so 4 is not less than 4, so it will come out of the loop. You save it, we get the same thing. Okay, now the good part is that if I add one more name, let's say if I add my name itself, okay, so the good part is that there's no need to add anything else. Okay, there's no need to add anything else. It will just keep on, adding up. It just keep on adding up, right? If let's say if I add one more name, let's say if I add Ria, and let's say if I also add others, so we'll just keep on adding the names, just keep on doing that, right? So this is how it actually works. Okay, great. Okay, now there is one more good way also. Okay, there is another way also, right? If instead of if you don't want to loop it in this way, you can just write for let okay, item of students. Okay, or instead item let for let elements of students, and then I can just do console.log of elements. Okay, for let elements of students, and if I do console.log of elements, again I'm going to get the same thing. So this is another loop. It's called as a let off loop. Okay, so let off loop is only used for iterating over the array. Okay, not so let off loop is used for iterating basically over the array. So it just says let elements of students. Okay, so it will basically go over the array. So it's basically like iterating over the array. When even if I write this loop, it's called as iterating. So when I say let elements of students, so the value of elements first will be Ashish. It will log Ashish. So this line, it automatically calculates the first value and the first index and the last index also. Over here, I had to specify the first index, right? That was 0. Then I had to also specify the length also, right? That you start from here and you go till here, right? But over here, for let off loop, it will find the first element and it will also find the last element automatically. Okay, when I write let off the students, it will find the first element automatically and find the last also. But when I write the conventional loop, for loop, I equals to 0, then the condition I plus plus, over here I have to specify the index and I also have to specify the last wala part also. Okay, the last element also, the length also. Okay, but over here there's no need to specify the first and the last element. It just calculates it automatically. Okay, got it? Now, if you're following along, then there is one exercise that I want you all to do. Okay, what is exercise? Exercise is very simple. Okay, in this given array, I want you all to just log the elements which are at even position. Okay, I just want you all to log the elements which are at even position. So what you have to do is instead of the entire array, it should only show Sakshi, Sadaf, and Riya. That is what it should only show. Sakshi, Sadaf, and Riya, nothing else. Okay, so very simple. How do you do that? Okay, are you going to use this for let off students wala loop, or you have to use this wala loop? Because there are two ways, right? Now we are logging. So which loop are you going to use, right? Because you have to log elements at even position. Okay, these are at even position, not 2, 4, and then 6. You have to log elements at even position. So how are you going to do it? So very simple. So over here, I know that this is going to give me numbers 0 to 4, right? Or 0 to whatever is the length. Okay, 7 is the length. So it's going to give me the numbers from 0 to 6, right? So I have to find elements at even position only. Okay, So 0, 1, 2, okay, 3, okay. So yeah. So there are two ways, okay, this exercise can be done. One is you log elements at even index. Okay, index should be even, right? So index even basically means it would be Ashish, Avneet, and then Prakash, and then others, because there's a 0, 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5, and then 6. Or you can also say uh, even elements or odd elements, okay, this way also. So what I can do here is I can just write a condition if I, okay, but this is going to give us the index only. If I modulus 2, if this is equal to 0, okay, that means if it is even, then I can just say console.log, okay, console.log. By looking at this array, I know that Sakshi is at even position. So what I can do is I can just write console.log students square brackets I plus 1, okay, else, okay, not else, okay. So if this only at even position, it will be visible. So let's say if it is, if if this is no, this becomes 0, this becomes 1, no, this becomes 2, okay, does not add up. So if we save it, so if I get this thing Ashish, Avneet, Prakash, and others. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, and then 6, okay. But let's say if someone tells you no, I don't want it in this way, I want visibly, I want the, so see, with the array, when it comes in terms of index, then Ashish, Avneet, Prakash, and others are at even position, because it becomes 0, 1, sorry, Avneet is 2, then this is 4, and then this is 6, okay. 0, let's not even consider 0. But let someone say, okay, visibly what is at the even position? What is visibly at even position? Sakshi is at even, Sadav is at even, and Riya is at even. So visibly when they say, so I can just write if the what I can do is I can just say if yeah, I can just add +1 over here directly. So just give me this thing, Sakshi, Sadaf, Riya, and then undefined. Okay, we'll just talk about this also. Undefined, what undefined actually is. Okay, or there are multiple other ways also in which we can do this also. Okay, like for example, if you add 1 to the index, okay, if you add 1 to the index, so let's say if you write if I plus 1 and then you divide it by 2, okay, again you're getting the same thing, Sakshi, Sadaf, and Riya. Okay, so here I'm just adding 1 to I and then dividing it by 2, so I'm just getting the same thing. Okay, is this clear? Everyone, is this clear? Okay, okay, cool. Okay. Yeah. So the way you're iterating over arrays, you can also iterate over strings also. Okay, you can also iterate over strings also. So I can just write, let's say let uh, some text equals to, let's say I am Prakash Sakari. So you can also have a for loop for this also. You can just write for let item of text, let item of text, and then if you do a console.log of the item for that item of text, and if you do a console.log of the item, right? So if you see, you get all of these things, okay, one by one. I, then space, then I am Prakash Sakari. Okay, it's one by one. What it is doing is just basically iterating over the array. What it is doing, it is just iterating over the given array. Okay, is it clear here? Okay, we'll just take more 15 to 20 minutes, and then this, and then we'll just wind it up. Okay, cool. So over here also, we can also find the length of the array. Okay, so we can just write over here, find the length of the string also. So I can just write over here, let's say let length equals to text dot length equals to text dot length, right? So I can get the length also, and then in the same way I can do the same loop also. So for let I equals to 0, right, and then I less than the length, okay, and then I plus plus, okay. and then I can also do text square brackets I. Okay. The same way we did for array, we can do it for string also. Okay. Everything that you can do it for an array, you can do it for the string also, and you'll just get one character at a time, given one character at a time. Okay. With this, you can play around, right? You can have a lot of exercise, right? I think even if you go on over GLG, you can have a lot of exercises. You can see a lot of exercises. You can just read about strings and arrays over here, and there are multiple exercises that basically you can do over here. Okay, cool. So I'm not going to extend this session anymore. I think we have done a lot of basics, because from the next class onwards, we'll just start doing the advanced part, or we'll start with making some projects also. Okay. If you have any questions for me, okay, it was a long session. We did for 2.5 hours. If you have any question for me, any question, you can ask. I'm here to answer your questions. Related to, it can be related to your career, it can be related to programming also, or anything like that. So if you have any questions, you can just ask me any questions, right? I'm happy to help you. Is anyone has any questions? If there are no questions, then we can end it up. Okay. So yeah, just to give you a gist, or let me just post my LinkedIn also. So this is my LinkedIn. You can follow me on LinkedIn, right? Or I'll also give you my GitHub account as well. So I have a GitHub account with, there are many repositories, right, of many projects. So you can have a look at the GitHub repository also. It is there in the chat, right? We can connect on LinkedIn, right? You can we can also discuss things on LinkedIn as well. Okay. Couple of things is that I basically I take live sessions on GeeksforGeeks as well. So, or you can also check out my course, right? The JavaScript course. Okay, let me just show it to you. Okay. Let me share my screen, and I'll just take the entire screen. Okay. Oh no, this is okay. Where are the courses? Okay. Let me just search for GeeksforGeeks.org/courses. I think this is the link. Okay. It should be courses. Yeah. So here in this courses part, if you go to, I think, development or testing, I think in development testing, there it should be somewhere. So this is my course, React.js, about React.js. So you can just go through this is the JavaScript course. Okay, so there are two courses that I have. You just have to go to this link, right? This is one of the course that I have. It's JavaScript full course with certification, learn JavaScript from the basics to the advanced part, right? Here I am, right? Your favorite teacher, soon to be your favorite teacher. And then over here, there's another course. There's this React.js ka course. So you can go through this course also. Again, this is again my course, right? It's a self-paced course, right? So this is also basic to the advanced part, where there are multiple projects in this course. There are multiple exercises in this course as well. So you can have a look at all of these two courses also. Okay, so it's a these are very good courses, right? These especially you can vouch on a lot on this JavaScript course, right? So you can go through these courses. We can there is this full stack FSRNL, right? If you right, this one full stack web development batch. This basically is a live batch which goes on. There are offline sessions also. You can go to if you are in any of these area, Pune, Hyderabad, Noida. You can go to offline sessions, or you can also attend online sessions also on Geeks4Geeks, right? Maybe I'll be teaching or some other mentors would be teaching, but everyone is equally good enough. Okay, so yeah, some questions to be taken. What are some beginners project I can practice to improve upon my skills? Some beginners project that you can do. So it's related to JavaScript, or so if it is related to JavaScript, then one of the very simplest project is you can create a to-do list or a wish list. Okay, create a to-do list, or you can create a wish list which has multiple functionalities where you can edit the to-do list, right? Where you can delete the to-do list. You can also add it to favorites also, that this is an important to-do list. You can do that as well. With JavaScript, we can also create a notes app. Okay, a very simple notes app where the user is adding a note and then note is displayed one below the other. You can also do pin and unpinned also. So these are some basic beginner projects you can do with JavaScript. And then you do the same project with React. So you'll understand the difference. How does it work in JavaScript and it works in React also. Okay. So this is how what you can do. Any other questions? And see, JavaScript is very important. Okay, because frameworks will come and go. Okay, now there is React library which is trending a lot, which is it's used by almost every other company, right? There are Angular also. Angular is quite niche. Okay, so looking it in a very different angle, it can also be like everyone is learning React, right? So if you can learn Angular, then your chances of getting into a company which is using Angular becomes much brighter, and because a lot of people do not know Angular, people are only learning React only. So if you learn Angular, then you can have a different perspective of looking at it in a very different way. That it's not that okay, you should not learn Angular. No one is using Angular. It is used. Angular is used and used by a lot of companies, right? And they are looking for some good Angular developers also, right? But there are not many Angular developers. Mostly there are only React developers only. Okay, so you can learn that in that way also. But the core of all of these things are JavaScript only, right? The core of React, the core of Angular, the core of anything, even Node.js also, it's JavaScript. So I take great pride in saying that I'm a JavaScript developer more than a React developer or more than an Angular developer. I think if your JavaScript is very good, you can basically succeed anywhere. Okay, because libraries and frameworks is just a matter of reading documentation and you'll understand how to use it. But under the hood, what is happening, that is very important. Even in React, there are multiple concepts of hooks and everything. So what is happening behind the hooks, that is very important. So if you get a good hold on JavaScript, everything is very good. What about Mon-based projects? Yeah, you can create again to-do list to start with, a notes app. You can create an e-commerce website, a social media website, right? A social. When I say you can create an e-commerce, just try to clone something. Okay, just have a look at Flipkart, Amazon, Myntra. Just try to create an exact clone of what they are using. When you inspect it, you'll find the font size, you'll find the color also, right? Every page that they have, a product listing page, a cart page, a wish list page. Even in the cart, there are options to add to wish list and then remove from cart, right? You have all of these things. Right? Then you can have static data, or you can also have them made with APIs also. You just search for dummy APIs, dummy JSON. You'll get all of the data available, which are free. So you get free APIs also. You can get the data also, right? See, creating project is very important, right? And whatever you create, just post it on LinkedIn. This is very, very important. People notice you. People see you. Right? There's no need to create. If you're shy coming in front of camera, you can just record your video. You can just record your project without any audio also. There's no need for audio also. You just screen record your project and just navigate here and there, and then just add a product to cart, add a product to wish list. You can also add an address also. Just do that, and then you can put it on LinkedIn also. But make projects. Making projects is very important now, since everyone is learning. So resources are available online. So every company is expecting, even from freshers, that they at least know some basic or some little bit of development. So do it. It will be quite helpful. See, things are changing. Earlier they were not expecting. Now they're expecting. Right? You can't change their expectations, but you can at least change your skill set. So just work on your skill set, learn it, create projects, make projects. Right? More than watching tutorial. Don't fall into tutorial hell. What is tutorial hell? Is like you just watching tutorials, and not doing anything. Write it on your own. Make it on your own. You will fail. You'll see. Okay. Try. Even if you're getting any errors, there's Google always, right? Don't initially just go on ChatGPT and do it, right? But try to understand what it is. What are essential projects that a fresher should include in their resume to stand out? Create a social media, right? Quite essential. Create a dating app. Create a travel app, right? Yeah, you can do all of. Add some animations to it. Create a booking website like GoIBBO or Airbnb, something like that. If you don't want to do the traditional e-commerce and all the things, there are multiple other options also. Create something like a Blinkit app, a Swiggy, Zomato app. Right? The crux is the same. Their functioning is the same. Only some of the other things are changing. If you make one project, you can make multiple projects. And trust me, the crux is the same. If you just try to imagine, every app is just the same. How are you able to understand and use all the apps? Right? Because every app functionality is the same. Okay, you click on this button, it will be added to cart. Nothing is changing, right? There's everywhere you see add to cart, you won't see add to basket. You see add to wish list only, right? Bookmarks, the words are same, everything is same. So you just get used to it, right? So just create one project, and you'll be at least you should have 5 projects, right? You should have at least 5 projects in your resume, right? But make sure that every project has a GitHub repository and every project is hosted somewhere. Okay, maybe Netlify, Vercel, or wherever you can find it. You see how to host a website also. So every website should be hosted. Every website should have a GitHub repository also. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, cool. So yeah, that's it for the time. I hope you all had a good time. I hope I didn't bore you all a lot. I hope you all learned something or the other, or something new, or maybe it's just a beginning for you all. So this we will carry on every Saturday. Sundays I'll come same time, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then we'll keep on learning multiple things. Not only in JavaScript, we have a very good plan with JavaScript and then CSS and then React.js, right? Advanced React concept. We have Redux into picture. Then there is let's say there is the Next.js, there is Node.js, right? There is Express mode. There are multiple things that I've planned, and then projects also. So it's going to go, right? It's going to continue. So if you stay along, right? Obviously we will learn along, we will grow along, right? So yeah, cool. That's it from my time. Thank you for being so patient with me, and thank you for staying along. So I'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Take care.
All you have to do is give us your 90 days and we'll help you in upskill and grow. So choose your favorite course, go to our website, start learning, and we are ready with your refunds. We have helped thousands of students and they have got more than 5 crore rupees of refund. So it's not only helping them in monetary terms, it's also helping them in being consistent and complete the course. So last year our completion rate was 20%, and with 390 challenge, we have seen it significantly going up. See, the idea of 390 was to make students motivated in the form of money, so that they complete the course and they get money. But our main aim was to make students consistent so that they become market ready.